Hi, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today, focused on how you can use PartySlate, Tripleseat, and ALHI all together to help you turn event leads into revenue. We're going to give everyone a few minutes to sign on in. I feel like it's always nice, especially if teams don't use Zoom, to give them a handful of minutes. But in the meantime, I'm always curious to see who we have on the call with us today. So if you want to use the Zoom chat down at the bottom of the screen, would love to hear where you're calling in from, what venue you're with. And I'm also just curious if there's any, if you're familiar with PartySlate, Triple C, or ALHI, or if you are learning about one of these organizations for the first time. I like knowing who all is in the room here. Oh, Atlantis, Bahamas. I love that. We oftentimes do go international. And so it's always really fun to see where people are calling in from. And we have Kimberly H and Kimberly R here also.
And love seeing all these ALHI properties popping up.
We got LA, Omni San Diego, a lot of familiar names and some new ones too, certainly.
I love it from all around. This is
Oh,
great.
It looks like we have some people from the same team on too, which is also fun. I see a lot of ALHI shout outs for you, Kimberly, Kimberly
yes.
R.
Yeah, I love that.
I love seeing these names, friends.
Lots of friendly faces.
Yes.
Playa del
Yes.
Carmen.
Yeah. It's one of our newer properties. I was just down there last month and oh my goodness.
I'm jealous. I wish
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
in Mexico.
that sounds so nice right now.
Right?
I could use a Mexico vacation.
Mm.
Viceroy.
All right, why don't we get started? So we are here today, like I mentioned, between three different groups, and we're all really excited to have a variety of people on the call. Some people might be familiar with PartySlate, some people might be familiar with Tripleseat, some might be familiar with ALHI. The goal of us all getting here together today is to really show our entire communities how these three organizations work together and how really ultimately you can maximize turning your event leads into revenue to drive business for your venue. So my name is Lillian. I'm with PartySlate. I've been with PartySlate for almost 3 years now. I'm our SVP of Customer Operations, and I'm just really excited to honestly share with all of you what we can do to help you all with top of funnel as well as all the way through bottom of funnel too. Kimberly R, do you want to do a quick intro for yourself and ALHI, and then we can move on to Kimberly H?
Absolutely. So Kimberly Richmond, I'm Vice President of Sales for ALHI, Associated Luxury Hotels International. And together with my team, we oversee the wedding vertical. So what we do is we help planners and couples find great venues. And then on the other side of the coin, we work with our properties to help make sure they're getting in front of the right audiences.
Kimberly H, how about you with Triple C?
Yes. Hi, I'm Kimberly Hensley. I'm a senior account executive for the hotels team here at Tripleseat. So we'll get into it, but Tripleseat's a sales and catering enablement platform. We also have our floor plans and diagramming platform and ticketing platform. And if you've noticed, we just got a brand new look, so we're very excited to be here.
Fresh off the press,
Yes, fresh off the press.
48 hours in.
Uh-huh,
Love
yep.
it. So before we get started with some of our conversation today, and we do want to keep it conversational, so please feel free to use the chat if you have any questions or topics that you want to make sure that we cover here today. We will have someone who's looking at the chat to make sure that we address it all. But before we get into that, we're going to just do a quick intro to each of these organizations because I do think that there are some people on who maybe haven't heard of some of the other organizations that are on here. So I can get started with PartySlate. And so PartySlate really, we are an online platform where we're really centered around helping you maximize your content that you have. We're very lucky, all of us, that we work in an industry where we have professional photographers who are taking these stunning, beautiful photos all the time. There are so many other industries that don't have this, and these are all amazing marketing assets to help showcase your space, showcase the types of events that you can do, but how are you actually able to leverage it? So here at PartySlate, we really believe that content is your currency, and as part of your sales process, you should be integrating content in to every single step because we're also in an industry where our clients are very visual, and it can be helpful for them to understand what it is that you can do. And so throughout the entire sales funnel, we are helping you drive revenue at every single stage of that decision-making process by helping make sure that you are surfacing the right photos right when you need them. PartySlate, originally, we started on this first piece, which is that explore piece. And we originated as a marketplace that is public facing that really helps to connect party hosts, corporate hosts, brides, everyone who's looking to host an event with venues and vendors that they're looking for. And I'm going to show you at a later point what that exactly looks like. But since then, we've also built out a lot of other tools to help along the rest of the funnel. So whether you are connecting with someone via calls and texts on your website, having someone in for a tour, or whether they're deciding who it is that they actually want to commit to during your proposals, contracts, to help make sure that you're able to identify the right photos that will actually help move that conversation along and help keep that person engaged. So your PartySlate profile, this is that front facing, we call it front of house, your public side. This is what anyone and everyone can see. It's really meant to be a discovery platform. And your PartySlate profile is a really beautiful, clean, easy way to showcase your space. I've heard a lot of people who work at venues where maybe if you're not solely focused on events at your venue space, let's say you're a hotel or maybe you're a sports stadium, for example, the events team doesn't get that much real estate actually on the website. So your PartySlate profile does act as a portfolio to help you showcase all the different types of events that you can do. And our team has worked really hard to SEO optimize our entire website to rank really well for Google searches. If you search top venues in Chicago, for example, that does go typically first or second link to our directory. And the other thing I'll say is that we do attract a pretty diverse group of people. And so I know our ALHI group is really focused on weddings, but we definitely have a lot of weddings. We're also attracting corporate and other what we call milestone social events as well. So birthdays, mitzvahs, things like that. And that's something that a lot of people that we work with do appreciate because even if you have weddings fully booked on the weekends, you still have Monday through Thursday that you need to fill as well. And then this is our back of house. So this is what these are these sales enablement tools that I referenced. Photo Hub is really meant to be a place where you can store, find, and share all your photos right in a few seconds. And it's AI powered, which I really love. I think it's kind of amazing how much this industry has changed over the last few years with the development of AI. And I'm going to show you a little visual of what it actually looks like. But Photo Hub is the one place where your entire team can store all of your photos. It's private storage. There's no limit on storage space and acts as a way where everyone can collaborate together to quickly find the right photos that you're looking for. So let's say you have a client who comes in and they're interested in seeing what an aisle looks like. Our AI powered search allows you to pull up that beautiful aisle photo or all these aisle photos from events that you've done in the past without you having to do any manual tagging. And then we also have a tool called photo boards where you can then easily share it out with a client in a beautiful branded way. So you don't have to worry about sending an ugly Dropbox link or an ugly Google Drive link when you're trying to close a six-figure deal and it can feel a little unprofessional. Now you have a nice, clean, easy way to share it too. And I'll pass it on to Kimberly H. with Tripleseat.
Hi, everybody. So Tripleseat, we are a event and catering management software. We are built for hospitality venues. Our platform helps event teams manage the full life cycle of a private event, group sales, catering, ticketing experiences, and venue operations from lead capture through payment and all the way to reporting. So we support restaurants, hotels and resorts, unique venues, multi-location hospitality groups, catering companies, entertainment and experience venues. And our platform's really designed to help hospitality teams. We're here to help increase event revenue, simplify operations, centralize communication, improve the guest experience with our guest portal, reduce manual work, and scale group and sales and private events. We're trying to take reactive teams that are processing and then turn them into proactive sales strategists. Let's go to the next. We're trusted by some of the biggest names in the industry. I'm on the hotel team, so we have hotels such as Lark, Stony Creek, Arrive by Pally Society. We also have the Holiday Inn, and we work with big restaurant groups and unique venues as well. We're chosen and trusted by all of these, and we are continuing to expand our portfolio with Tripleseat tickets, direct book, and our floor plans and diagramming system as well. All right. We help you through every single stage from capturing. So we're using our customized lead forms to capture every event query, including our beautiful partnership with PartySlate, capturing those leads as well. We're managing leads through automation, and we're going to talk about that a little bit down the line here. We have our key account contacts. That we can use to create automations for prospecting, for follow-up. We can boost venue visibility through our lead forms as well as our event page. We also have the ability to manage and ticket events. We are known for creating custom proposals, enabling direct booking on your website, getting paid faster through our client portal and our payment processing capabilities. And we really want to bring teams in to collaborate, create efficiency, and give you more time back in your day to sell and increase revenue and take away from those manual admin activities that you're maybe doing today. We are collaborating with your guests. We are enhancing the guest experience with our guest portal. Our guest portal is designed to have one landing page for your guests throughout the event booking process to create collaboration between property and client and make for a seamless booking experience. We're also growing, so we're unlocking revenue opportunities through repeat guests and how we communicate with guests coming back to each property. And we're turning data into action. So our reporting capabilities are robust. They can be shared, saved, and customized, sent out on a cadence, as well as our advanced reporting for hotels. That's going to include everything from the event booking and guest rooms all into one advanced analytics dashboard.
And one thing that I want to make sure I don't forget to mention about PartySlate and Tripleseat actually have a direct integration. And so there
Yeah.
truly is a smooth workflow that you can have when, let's say, a consumer, a bride, lands on your PartySlate profile and is interested in learning more. Now that inquiry, that lead will automatically flow into Tripleseat, no more copy and pasting, and it's super smooth with all of the automations and integrations, or all the automations and workflows that you can have set up in Tripleseat.
Yep, automatically. It cuts time out of your day right then and there.
Everyone wears so many hats in this industry that I feel like wherever they can save time, it's so valuable.
It's true. On the hotel side, we have all of our major PMS booking our integrations as well. So we've been really working hard on our integrations as well as reporting. And so we're really excited to share future integrations that are coming down the pipe as well. So now I'll turn it over to other Kimberly.
Thank you. So, hi again, everybody. I just want to say I'm super excited to be here today and speaking about what we're going to be speaking about, just because I think it's going to resonate so much with so many of the people that have tuned in. So, again, Kimberly Richmond. I'm with Associated Luxury Hotels International, ALHI for short. We are a global sales and marketing organization, and we have about 250 or so properties in our portfolio worldwide. We don't own these properties. We don't manage them. So essentially, these hotels bring ALHI on board. They pay us monthly dues to help represent them. So whether that's in the corporate market, association market, incentive market, we're really helping create that brand awareness, generating leads that essentially translates into business. And up until 5 years ago, almost 5 years to the day when I joined ALHI, there was no weddings vertical. And so our CEO, Michael Dominguez, one of the first things he said when he came on board was, why don't we have a wedding segment? You know, this is a big miss. And he was absolutely right. And so in my background, I have the hotel experience. I also had a destination wedding planning company, which I ran for 10 years. So I was able to kind of come in with both of, that experience and kind of look at things through that lens to see what would really work. And you can click, Lillian. So again, kind of what we do and what my team does, to your point, we wear many hats. 50% of what we do is really work really closely with wedding planners and couples that are looking for those venues. So we're helping them with everything from, they give us the criteria. We say, hey, this is what kind of checks all those boxes. We're helping get proposals, putting site visits together, and kind of through contract stage. So we're helping them get hours back in their day. And I've been in their shoes. So, I know what the pain points are, and we're trying to make their lives easier. And then the other 50% of what we do, and quite honestly, what I love the most, is working with our properties and helping them understand how to move that needle, helping them understand. And oftentimes it's us teaching them who the right audience is, how to get in front of that audience. And we don't have cookie cutter packages or cookie cutter services because no hotel is the same. So we have very intentional conversations when we bring a hotel on board to understand, what's going to work for the property, what's going to resonate, whether it's a discovery trip, whether it's attending one of our wedding summits, whether it's doing a lunch and learn. I mean, at the end of the day, we're here to be the advocates for our hotels, really an extension of their team, and help send more weddings their way. Unless in my world, we are. And I think you could click. Yeah. And again, that's just a little highlight on what we can do. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So we are going to have a great conversation here today. Our goal for today, we're going to cover three different things. So I think the first part of it, we're going to talk about filling the funnel, top of funnel. How do you actually make sure that people know about your property, that they think of you when someone is in that mindset of, I'm planning a wedding or I just got engaged. How do you make sure you stay front of mind? Or let's say they've already hired and retained a planner. How do you make sure that you stay front of mind also for those planners who are such a big role in this industry? And then the next part then is, let's say someone comes to you and they're interested. How do you actually convert that lead into a booking, into bottom line for you? And our hope for you is that for every person who's on this call, that you're able to leave with a few actionable takeaways so that you can think about implementing into your day-to-day workflow on a go-forward basis. So Kimberly, let's talk about filling the funnel, top of the funnel. I know at ALHI, a lot of the people that you work with, this is something that is a big reason why they come and decide to work with you. So what are some of the key tips that you give on making sure that these properties stay front of mind when someone actually is in that mindset of wanting to plan a wedding?
I love that question. And so in my role, I have the very unique advantage that I get to work with many kinds of properties, right? So whether it's an all-inclusive resort in Mexico, a boutique property in Aspen, a luxury city hotel in Boston, I've kind of gotten to see what works and what doesn't work. And what I'll start off by saying is that today's couples and planners are so savvy. I mean, savvier than ever. I think they're really, consuming content constantly. They're researching venues visually. They're comparing experiences. They're reading those reviews. They're looking at the real wedding. So as wild as this sounds, something that I'm seeing is that a lot of them are making decisions sometimes long before they've even submitted that inquiry. So the first thing I say and I speak to is visibility is everything. I think a common misconception, especially in the wedding space, is that, great properties automatically generate demand, and they don't. Visibility really creates that opportunity. So if planners and couples don't know you exist, if they don't understand why your property is different, you're already losing the business. So in this day and age, unfortunately, having a beautiful website in and of itself isn't enough. And that's why I love that we're having this conversation and that there are platforms, like PartySlate and Tripleseat and ALHI. It takes a village, honestly. It really is a team effort.
I mean, you mentioned,
Yeah.
I was going to just double click in because you mentioned visibility is so important and just your website is not enough. What do you usually recommend to the hotels that you work with when it comes to actually making sure that they're visible in all the right places?
No, absolutely. I think that, if planners don't ever hear about you, if they don't see you, if they don't experience your property, you're not going to be top of mind. So, again, with hotels not relying solely on their website, I think the wedding industry being so heavily relationship driven, being at those events, being in those areas where the planners are showing up, that's who's winning. Whether it's a PartySlate event, whether you're, joining WIPA, whether you're coming to an ALHI wedding summit, get out there and shake the hands and build the relationships and make those connections.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not even about making a new connection. Sometimes it's an old connection that you just want to make sure you're continuing to build and make it even stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the other thing that I would suggest, and I do recommend to our hotels, is asking themselves, like, what they're known for in the wedding space, right? Is your property great for a buyout experience? Are you great for a cultural wedding? Are you more of a multi-day, destination wedding weekend? I think a lot of times hotels kind of get lost in the mix because their messaging is so generic, and planners and couples are looking for properties with identities. So if your messaging could apply to 50 other properties, it's not strong enough. So people are really buying that feeling, that emotion, more so than what they're seeing on paper is what I'm seeing. I'd say the other thing is, you have to give people a reason to sell you. So what I'm learning, with wedding planners is they're not just booking the venues, but they're also recommending them. And I tell my hoteliers all the time, we forget that wedding planners are salespeople as well, right? So give them a reason to sell you. And some of the things that make properties easy to sell are, of course, things we know. The response time, I think the ease of working with a property is huge. Those relationships, kind of going back to that, people buy things from people they like. I mean, that really, I can't say that enough, especially in this world. And really, that translates into instilling the confidence within that planner that your hotel is going to be able to execute and deliver what they've promised their clients. So if you make, the planner look good, the planner looks great in front of their client, and everybody's happy. The other thing I will say is discovery trips work. We're doing more and more of those with our planners. So nothing sells a hotel like experiencing it firsthand. So we recommend a small group, 5 to 8 planners, so that you're getting those planners to the property. They're experiencing the service. They're feeling the hospitality of the bellman. They're tasting the food at the restaurant. That is huge. The other thing they're doing while they're there is they're all on social media and they're all pushing out content. And again, I know I don't have to tell any of you that in this world, that is kind of everything. And what they're doing is they're tagging the hotels, and the hotels are just getting all this amazing marketing and PR because these planners have hundreds of thousands sometimes followers, and it's just great. And so that visibility and that content is creating demand, right? And that is so huge, again, with weddings being such visual purchases, such emotional purchases. Hotels need, and I know Lillian, you're going to talk about this, but they need that real, that raw, that authentic content. The wedding videos, the behind the scenes, kind of those authentic moments, not staged ballrooms. And I say this with all the love, but like, stop selling ballrooms. Planners and couples aren't buying square footage. They're buying a feeling. They're buying a story. They're buying an identity. Again, hotels spend a lot of time focusing on capacity charts, menus, specs. Not saying that's not important, but I think what they really should be focusing on and really kind of putting priority on is, what does a wedding at your property feel like? What kind of couples are getting married at your property? What magical moments happen there? So I think, at the end of the day, planners or couples can find 50 ballrooms online, but what they can't find everywhere is that emotional connection. It's that trust. It's that authenticity. It's the confidence. It's the distinctiveness. And, just kind of finish out that thought, I would say, don't try to be everything to everyone. I think that clear positioning really attracts the right leads, not more leads, but it attracts the right leads, which I think is very important, just getting in front of that right audience. So it's not about being everywhere. It's about showing up in the right places, in front of the right audience, sort of delivering the right message. So it's kind of a different ballgame these days.
I love that you said Kimberly, stop selling square footage.
Yeah.
Because no, that's not what people are going to connect to. That's not what they're going to resonate with. What they're going to resonate with is, honestly, sometimes it is, what is that well-worthy aisle moment look like, that, this is how people are going to see me or view. Or I love also, there's some destination venues that I work with where they say they always make sure they show a certain point on, they're on a cliff. They're like, we
Mhm.
have to show everyone where the spot is because this is the shot.
Yeah.
This is the moment where that photographer is going to get that stunning portrait photo, and people love it and they see it and they want that for themselves. And it's true. It's not about the actual features of the specific room. It's about, what is it that you're going to feel? What are the emotions? What is the type of event that you're going to be able to host? What are the senses that we're going to all be activating to actually pull off that event of someone's dreams?
It really is. It's those emotions. And I think that's kind of a perfect segue to kind of turn it over to you and tell us a little bit, because you guys do it so well.
Yeah, well, so, I know you talked a little bit about making sure that you have a brand presence in all the right places. I want to show a little bit about what it means to have a presence on PartySlate specifically. And so I'm going to actually screen share to give everyone just a bit of, I think, just a bit of insight into how someone might even discover you. And we really focus on intent and capturing people when they are in that right frame of mind, when they're actually looking for a venue. So let's take, for example, let's say I'm a bride. I'm trying to discover what all my options are Google is the place where almost everyone starts, even if they have a referral, even if they have, a friend's wedding that they went to and they loved it, they're still probably looking on Google to understand what their options are. So I'm just going to type in, as an example here, let's say top venues in New York. And oftentimes there's going to be a sponsored result, but PartySlate is usually the first or second result that comes up. And it does lead into our directory. So all of our PartySlate members are featured at the top of our directory. We always like to prioritize our members who are with us. And there's all these other filters at the top too. So depending on what someone's interested in, they can actually filter even more specifically. So let's say I really want to get married at a hotel. And let's say I'm really focused on a wedding. I can now filter, and now I have all the top wedding hotels in New York. Let's say I'm interested in the Plaza. It's a beautiful, iconic venue. This really is the public facing portfolio that a consumer is going to be looking at. And we've done a lot of research on what consumers have front of mind when they're trying to evaluate if I'm interested in a space or not. And there's a few different things. One is obviously event spaces. So like what are the options for the rooms that I can book with you, for the spaces that I can book? What are the capacities? Does it meet my needs with what I know? And then the other place is real events. I know, Kimberly, you mentioned a bride, they want to see what a real event looks like. They don't want to see a staged photo. They don't want to see a rendering. I know AI can do a lot these days, but people can tell. Their
Mhm.
eyes can see if it's an AI generated photo versus an actual real event. And I think it goes a long way to the bride of just creating trust. They trust that you've hosted an event of this type. They trust that you can execute an event of this style, and they can envision themselves actually in the room for their actual event. So we've designed our profile to really highlight these real event galleries so that you are able to showcase the breadth of work that you've done. And it's all filterable. If someone's interested in weddings, they can actually filter it down to just weddings or, conferences and summits, corporate parties. Like I said, Party Slate, we're about a third weddings, a third milestone social, and a third corporate. So we do encourage everyone who's on Party Slate to really diversify in terms of what it is that they're putting up here. And the last thing I'll say is that we have these cover photos, which I would really encourage people to think of as their billion-dollar billboard ad. Sometimes, sometimes I think it's easy to put up images that maybe are on your website that your hotel website might market with, but on Party Slate, people want to see real events. They want to see what that room looks like fully set up. And in our directory, it is that main image that's going to capture someone's attention. And it is, consumers do have it's a multi-touch journey. And so, Kimberly, I think you brought up a really good point in that they're looking at not just your website, but your social media, your online presence, platforms like PartySlate to really just understand everything that's out there. And Instagram is really great for discovery, but I think one of the limitations with Instagram is that it's hard to actually storytell the entire event. You're probably selecting a handful of photos. Some of those photos might be of just the couple, and it doesn't really showcase the space as well. And that's where the Party Slate portfolio and profile is actually really helpful to showcase all the different things that the profile can do here. The other thing I'll say, in general, when someone is thinking about why listings just really matter, I've talked to a lot of our customers who have worked with, I've worked with hundreds of our customers at this point, and one thing that they'll say to me is that when someone is contacting them and they do have all these different event photos to look at, they usually come a little bit more qualified by the time they talk to someone actually at the venue. They've seen the space, they've seen what it can look like, they've seen some example setups versus someone who maybe potentially knows the brand, but hasn't actually seen what does the space capacity look like, or what are the outdoor versus indoor limitation. And so as a salesperson, your time is your most valuable resource. And to be able to filter out those passive looky-loos from people who are actually higher intent, quality people who are in that right frame of mind, who've actually had the ability to do their research is really helpful for the sales team to just make sure I'm investing my time on the people where I think my odds of converting them are going to be the highest. And oh, actually, there's one other thing that I forgot to share on the profile that I will share right now is vendor connections. So another cool thing that we have is because of the network effect that we have on PartySlate. When you upload an event album, you can give credit where credit's due and show who else worked on that event. And so there's also this really handy place where anyone who's interested in your space can go and see who are the other people who have worked here? Who are the planners that have worked here? What are the photographers that have worked here? I know some venues will have preferred partner lists or maybe exclusive partner lists, but not every venue has that. And this is all based on actual real work that has happened. And so it's really cool for a consumer to actually be able to come on and see these are the actual people who executed on this actual event. And sometimes they might already have their planner in mind and they might start on the planner page and they'll see what venues have the planner done events at. To Kimberly's point, planners are such a big part of this ecosystem as well. And so showing the diverse, the types of people that you've worked with and showcasing the network that you've built as well is really helpful.
Lillian, I have a quick question for you. So,
Yeah, of
from
course.
PartySlate's perspective, what are you seeing right now in terms of how couples and planners are searching for venues differently than maybe they did a few years ago?
Yeah, I mean, I do think people are looking for more unique spaces. I know Kimberly, you mentioned highlight what exactly it is
Mhm.
that makes your space special. What is that wow-worthy moment? What
Mhm.
is that makes you stand out? If someone's reaching out to you, it's most likely they're probably reaching out to 3 to 5 other venues that are in the same area or that are similar. And so you probably know your competition, you know who they're talking to, and think about what is it that makes you special? Is it the service? Is it the reliability? Is it the way that you can have people flow from room to room where the flow feels really natural? Is it that, you don't have to do a flip because there's enough spaces where you can actually kind of create those unique experiences room to room? And I think that the one thing I love also that you said, Kimberly, is that don't sell square footage. I really want to emphasize this. I think it's really easy for a lot of venues to get into the mindset of, let me just send everyone all of the information up front. This is my square footage. This is the minimum for this room. This is the minimum for this space. If you're a unique cultural space, maybe there's specific loading hours that you have. People don't care.
Yeah,
And that's not really what they're trying to solve for upfront. They want to make sure that you understand their vision and that you're able to execute on their vision, and they want to feel heard. It is a very emotional decision if it's in the wedding world. If it's corporate, it's a little different. But for the wedding side, it's certainly very emotional. And I think for them to really feel like I have a vision in my mind, and this is the right space that is going to be able to execute on it and centering on those things instead of square footage, food investment. That's obviously necessary at a certain point, but don't lead with that up front.
I love that. Don't information dump. Don't PDF dump right up front. When
Yeah,
I talk about response time, is show them that they're not just another person that you're sending a generic email to, and please see the attached.
for sure. People
Mhm.
don't read the PDFs also.
No.
I think it's a lot of information that you're giving them, and for them to be able to digest it all, it's too much. Think about the two things that if you wanted someone to understand about your venue, what are those two things, and just lead with that. The information dumping is really overwhelming for someone.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay, so that was a little bit about PartySlate top of funnel, how you can attract people leveraging Google SEO. And let's say you get the lead. What happens from there? Now it's about the tools and systems that you have in place to actually convert that lead into bookings. And Triple Seat, I think someone actually asked, is the Triple Seat PartySlate integration already live? It is already live. There are additional steps that our team can help you with to get it fully set up, but it is live. We actually have hundreds of venues that are already leveraging that integration. And so I want to pass it on to Kimberly H. though to talk a little bit about how Triple C can help you with that automation and making sure that those follow-ups are happening in the right way.
Thanks, Lillian. I think it really, I mean, it flows really nicely into what Kimberly Richmond was saying and what you were kind of alluding to is how do we keep that feeling and that authentic experience that they're looking for going and turn it into a sales strategy to really book more business, right? The potential client or the potential bride has been on PartySlate. They have found your venue. They've gotten the warm and fuzzy about planning their events. Their event is at top of mind. They've decided to reach out to you via the lead form on the PartySlate. Now what? So one of the most important things as the integration has brought that lead over and put it into our Triple Seat dashboard how do we keep that feeling? How do we keep that warm and fuzzy feeling of planning an event going? So one of the most important things is not only getting that visualization across, but it's response time. And response time has become so important, especially in the last couple years, on how do I respond quickly and how do I respond as a team consistently to really book more business. So we know to win, you have to be fast, you have to be personal, and you have to be consistent. Consistency, from what I found, and I started out on the hotel side from with Hyatt Hotels, and I did group, I did transient, I did social. Consistency is something that is very, very hard to maintain across an entire catering team or across an entire sales team. We know that the first person to respond to lead the quickest has a better conversion rate. And actually, studies actually have been done where the first property to respond, that conversion actually goes up by about 75%. Under
Wow,
five,
Kimberly, that's a crazy stat, first of all.
yes, it is crazy as
75%.
that. Um, Tripleseat as a company, we're a tech company, so I'm a seller. I'm constantly selling as well. We have a standard here at Tripleseat. If we get a lead, we have to respond within 5 minutes. Responding within 5 minutes is hard. If I told a catering team at a hotel, a busy hotel property, every lead needs to be responded to in 5 minutes, they'd probably all quit right in there, right? Because they're getting 20, 25 leads a day. So, how do we do that? How do we be the first property to respond and win more business? And how do we do it in a way that Kimberly Richmond had kind of alluded to? We need to have very direct messaging. We need to bring the hotel kind of to light of what they're best known for, how they're positioning themselves in the market. How do we do that within 5 minutes? It's very difficult. We do it through automation. So with automation and within Tripleseat's platform, we can send out a personalized email as soon as a lead hits an inbox. So, and it's not just going to be, we received your lead, we'll get back to you in 48 hours, thanks. Like that's going to happen on the lead form side. On the personal email that goes out, this is where we think that we should bring in some of Kimberly Richmond's points. Bring in links to visuals, bring in Photo Hub. Maybe they have a dashboard that links it out. We need to keep that client automatically top of mind for my hotel or my property or my unique venue of let's start selling the property before a catering manager even sees the lead. And that can be done. We all know sometimes it takes DBRs, daily business reviews, before we can actually get a full proposal out to a client. We know maybe we're waiting on some sort of other approval, or we're on the floor, we're really busy. That day we had to step in and we're running a restaurant or we're running a unique venue and we are on the floor running around. And while I'm doing that, 5 leads have come in. If you have automation working towards your advantage, you can have every lead get a really nice, warm, personal email that has 5 fun facts about the hotel. Check out our general manager's welcome, or check out a recent review from a past client. Check out a link to a photo hub with some really nice pictures of just some past events. While you're waiting for a actual catering person or a human to interact with you, let's keep selling. Let's start it. So that's just kind of one thing we start with when a lead comes in. And then we want to think about how we're going to respond. And I know we're going to get into that later, but before, the old kind of normal when you're thinking about booking a piece of business was maybe 5 to 8 touches. But current data from HubSpot, Gong, Rain Group, 8 to 12 touches now it takes on average to book a piece of business. Most salespeople at busy properties, they're quitting after maybe 2 to 3 attempts. Most bookings are going to require about 8 to 10. So how do we do that? We want the heaviest activity in the first 48 hours. We want voice contact that builds rapport, and we're going to talk about that, Lillian, I know. And we want to like eliminate assumptions. A lot of lost bookings occur because teams assume client priorities, and priorities change. They change day to day. So with Tripleseat, what we can do, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to share my screen here so we can kind of take a look. Okay. Okay. So what we can do under settings in Tripleseat, we can set up automations to keep all of your teams on a schedule. And schedule is going to be a sales strategy that you build with your teams on the appropriate touches based on triggers. What this leads to, if the team is all kind of going on the same schedule, of touches and follow-ups, as well as just automations when the client is actually now booked and going through the process of building their event. It creates better reporting. So instead of just one, catering manager following up 2 to 3 days and another catering manager following up 4 to 5 days, we can get better reports and really see where we are in the gaps in the sales process if everybody is on the same page of what their sales strategy look like to book more events. So our automations are twofold. We can do automatic emails, like I mentioned, and we can do automatic tasks, and they can all be based on a trigger. So let's say a lead comes in, we do that first under 5 minute lead email response saying, hey, we're working on it, but in the meantime, here's some really nice visuals on how our hotel stands out or how our property or restaurant stands out from others. And then we can automate tasks. So if we know it takes 8 to 12 touches to book a piece of business, let's build in automatic tasks that every day we can go in and we can check off on different types of touch points. Maybe it's an email, then maybe it's a phone call, then maybe it's a LinkedIn message. Maybe it's a link to another nice, really piece of visual content that's really going to help sell the hotel. Maybe in 6 hours after the first lead came in, if you still haven't, sent the proposal and you need more time, maybe another email goes out just saying, hey, while you're waiting, here's another video that's just, a bride that was really happy with the booking. So, automation is going to help you within your day. You're also going to be able to bring in within Tripleseat not just F&B spaces, but if you are in a hotel, you can bring in all of the ballrooms and all the different spaces under one platform. Because like Kimberly and Lillian, like you said, people are wanting those authentic kind of spaces now. We're not just booking ballrooms. We're really overlapping between F&B teams, catering teams, and sales teams. We all need to be on the same page. We need to be collaborating, communicating, and working together to make sure we're executing that event efficiently.
I love Kimberly. I love seeing the setup. And I think especially for anyone who has a larger sales team, even if it's 2 people or 3 people, what I think is really great is it helps to standardize best practice across the team. And that whoever is managing the team, you can actually set what your expectations are for the team. Because to your point, it's really hard sometimes if you're running from one place to another, you're probably doing a site tour and then you're also helping to actually execute on an event. It's so easy to just have these leads that come through the door fall through the cracks because we're running around all the time.
I've been there. I get it.
Yep.
We're busy. We
It's
need to be
crazy.
as efficient as possible because
Yep.
between, one day you have 10 leads on, there's going to be 10 behind it the next day. So anything you can do to make your life easier, this is one way of doing it.
And also, I think someone asked in the chat, Kimberly, if they could find that study, where they could find that study that you referenced.
Yeah, I can send a couple links out. Absolutely. I have a HubSpot one and then a Harvard Business Review one that's really, really relevant.
Yeah, maybe in the follow-up email, we can make sure to include
Okay.
those.
Yeah,
There's some
sounds good.
crazy stats that you referenced that
I
I
know.
totally believe, but it's great to know that there's research that's been done that's validated what I've always believed in my gut.
Yep.
Okay, so now let's say you get them on the call. You've done your follow-ups, you finally got them on the call. What do you do from there? And that first call, you really should be thinking about it as a discovery call. So not feature dumping, but thinking about asking those really good discovery questions, making the client feel heard, understanding their vision. Ask them, what do you want your guests to feel? What do you want your family to feel when they are at your event? And from those, you can kind of get a sense of what the priorities are. Maybe they want to have an incredible packed dance floor where everyone is on the dance floor having a great time. Or maybe they really care about having a sentimental moment during the ceremony and making sure that everything is set up for that really special moment to happen during the ceremony. But whatever it is, that's probably what the bride, the client is thinking of. You know your venue space. You know how you're going to be able to set it up to make that incredible dance floor happen. What the options are for that dance floor, or what the options are for the ceremony, how you're going to be able to set up to really create the focus on that very sentimental note. You know that you know your venue. Your job is then to take what they've told you about their emotions, their feelings, their vision for the event, and tie it to the feature of your venue. And of course, you're on the call, you hear them out, and then afterwards, how do you actually personalize it and make them feel like you've heard them? I know that some venues they'll do a variety of things. Sometimes they have a few pre-made documents or pre-made collections of photos that they've already put together. Sometimes they actually want to customize it a little bit more. Maybe I want to make sure that I have my best dance floor photos in there. And how do I actually make sure that I include them? And I want to show everyone a feature that we have on PartySlate that, like I said, it's a sales enablement tool. So it's not just for PartySlate leads. You can use it for any leads that come from anywhere at all, any resource, whether it's Instagram, whether it's someone directly to your own website. And it's really meant to help the sales team be able to sell more effectively and move people along that sales funnel a little bit faster. But let's say you are looking to include some dance floor photos for your client because they mentioned they want to have that incredible party energy. You can go into Photo Hub and search dance floor. And as a reminder, this is your private storage space. So you can put any photos that you have from Google Drive, Dropbox, anything into here. It is disconnected from the public profile that I showed earlier. So you don't have to only put in marketing approved photos in there. You can have anything that you want in here. And the search that I did, it's all AI powered. So it's not tagging. You don't have to have an intern where you assign their summer intern job to sit down and tag every single photo that you've gotten from all your events in the last year. I know that there are people who have had internships like that or who have had people on their team who have done that before. No longer, it's AI just visually seeing. And so with that, now we have 400, we have hundreds of photos literally that are showing dance floors. And maybe you want to make sure that you show just some example dance floor photos. And I'm going to select a few just as an example, a variety of some different dance floor setups that this is at the plaza still that they can do to just showcase what the energy can look like and showcase how that dance floor is actually going to be integrated into the space. And from here, the next step then is how do you actually share it out with your client? We do have a few different options. We do have an integration with Canva. If you do have your templates or proposals built into Canva, you can actually have this whole search experience directly in Canva as well. Pull them in. You can download your photos if you want to put them in a different tool, or you can do what my favorite thing to do is, which is create a photo board. And so I'll put in here dance floor photos for maybe Kimberly, one of the Kimberlys we have on the call. And you can choose when the link expires, whether it's 1 day, 2 days, or sorry, one week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or never. I'm going to generate a link. And so what I have is this really easy, beautiful, clean, branded for the venue, kind of like a mood board, but in a link where you can easily integrate it into an email. You don't have to worry about downloading images, re-uploading them again. And the client feels heard, right? They heard that you heard them, that they really wanted to have a beautiful or an incredible dance floor, great energy. They can click on it, see some more examples. And this is just one way where you can make sure that in your follow-up emails that you are customizing it and personalizing it based on what you know the client really cares about. And so with that, I guess one other thing I want to note about Photo Hub too is that it can be a really powerful tool for your venue tours. It's a great way, like I said, where even if you're on site with someone, it can be kind of hard for them to envision what the space looks like fully set up. People are so visual. They might be asking, wait, where are the different options for aisles? Where are the different what are the different table setup options? You can actually have it alongside with you, search for those table options or search for those aisle options and be able to pull it up right there on the tour. And then you can actually send out that link via an email before they've even left the site. I also know people who have integrated some of those Photo Hub links that showcase specific things that people ask about all the time. What does your outdoor space look like? Things like that into their Tripleseat template. Because since, as Kimberly showed, you can have some of those templates pre-set up with what the responses look like. You can actually just have that link already sitting in there. With that, I think we can move on to a few actionable takeaways from everyone that's here on the call. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask it in the chat. But otherwise, Kimberly R., I would love to ask you if there was one thing that you wanted everyone on this call to walk away with, what would it be?
I will go back to what I said sort of at the beginning, where it takes a village. And so the hotels that are seeing the most success aren't operating in silos. So they're building those ecosystems, to your point, Lillian, of the relationships, of the partnerships, the visibility, the trust, the collaboration. They've got great industry partnerships with platforms like PartySlate, like Tripleseat. No single hotel, no matter how beautiful, can reach every single planner, can reach every single couple, every single market alone. So at the end of the day, I think the hotels that are winning in weddings today aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest, most beautiful ballroom. I think they're the ones that are building those relationships, creating the trust, staying visible. So I think my takeaway would be understanding that long-term success in the industry is built through collaboration and not isolation. I love
Love
the
that.
word collaboration. Yeah.
Kimberly H., what about you?
I think, I mean, creating authentic experiences, we've heard, in the past year how important that is. And I think it's getting even more important for this year. People have, set budgets and they want to make sure that their event planning is done in a unique and special way that can be shared. So really going above and beyond to make sure that your hotel or property is positioned in a way that gets your value points, your beautiful spaces, your restaurant, and being able to showcase it in a quick way because speed is everything nowadays. And I think it's actually only going to get narrower in that response time. So really, setting up a platform that can help you respond and move on and not be bogged down by admin tasks this year is going to be how you're winning. So,
Yeah, I was going to say something similar, but just taking advantage of all the tools that
yeah.
this industry has. I feel like it can feel really intimidating sometimes to think about implementing new tools, implementing new systems. And especially, I feel like AI can be a really intimidating thing to think about as well. It changes, I feel like every single month there's something new. But if you take the time to invest upfront in learning these tools and also teaching and training your team, that upfront investment will actually pay off in dividends. We are all so busy in this world, and I think the expectations are only really getting higher from the client base with what they want from us. And the only way that we're going to be able to make it all work is if you take advantage of all the tools that people have built and invest a little bit of that time upfront.
Yes.
All right, with that, I'm going to do a few last closing thoughts. So, one thing I do want to call out is we do have a PartySlate Pro Instagram account that I would encourage anyone who's interested in just hearing more industry insights, marketing tips, give it a follow. It really is focused on just the event pros in our industry. Webinar invites for additional future webinars like this, those will also be showcased on this Instagram page. And Kimberly R., I know, mentioned the importance of in-person events and just constantly networking, making sure you're staying in front of the right people, whether it's planners or florists, other people who are really connected in the industry. PartySlate, we do host events all over the nation. This year, I think we're doing about 10 events all over in a bunch of different cities. Kimberly H. joined us for one recently in LA a few weeks ago. We know how to show people a good time, but also it's an incredible networking opportunity. So in-person event updates will also happen on our Instagram, as well as product education, new features, and just real strategies from people in the events industry. So go give it a follow. A lot of great content on there. And lastly, here, if you're interested in learning more about PartySlate, Triple C, or ALHI, I know that we really drew from all three different organizations, people who might know one of us or none of us. You can feel free to scan this QR code, and that QR code will get you to the right person to share more about how you can leverage your PartySlate tools or Triple C as a CRM or ALHI as an organization, since it really does take a village to make all of this happen. And if you're interested in any of our upcoming events as well, you can scan that QR code and our team can send more information to you.
You guys, if you haven't been to a PartySlate soiree yet, you have to go. It was absolutely amazing, the one in LA you guys just did. So
We always try. I feel like every time we do an event, the bar is set so high, but we always try to continue raising the bar with every single event.
you
You
do
do.
set the bar high. It
Yeah.
was amazing. Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone so much for joining us today and taking the time out of your day. And I hope that this was helpful for everyone. And thank you to both Kimberlys for joining and doing this call together with me.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Lillian. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kimberly. Thank you, everybody.
You. Bye.